Hi, this is Laura Wurth. I'm a tutor with Ingenious Tutoring and Test Prep. And in this video, I'm going to go over the right procedure for approaching one of the math problems on the ACT. So this is from test form F12, and it's basically what a lot of people would call a word problem, which means it's extra fun. So first thing we do with a word problem is we read the whole thing through just to get a feel for it. I know you're, somewhat pressed for time when you're taking a standardized test, but if we don't answer the question that's really being asked, they're probably going to get it wrong. So let's just take a quick read. A vertical radio tower stands on level ground. And we can probably take a pause in our reading right there because there's some really essential information in that first sentence. And I'm going to start drawing from that. A vertical tower. So I'm going to draw it up and down. Here's our radio tower. Real simple. We don't need to make an elaborate drawing. And it's standing on level ground. And we'll draw some grass here or something, just showing that it's level. I'll make it a little bit more level here. But when you're taking the test, don't go for perfection in your drawing. Just draw a little sketch that's meaningful to you. Okay, so here's my vertical tower on level ground. Now, two things that are super important, vertical and level. As you can probably see from my sketch, that gives a very important relationship between the tower and the ground. And that's a 90-degree angle on both sides. So already I know something that is powerful in answering any questions about this tower and the ground, and that's I have a right angle. So if anything in the problem ends up prompting me to create a right triangle, I immediately know I'm in the range of being able to apply my fundamental right angle trigonometric functions. So I'm going to be looking out for those, but won't get too hasty here. I've only read one sentence, so I'm going to read the next. From a point 200 feet along the level ground from the base of the tower, the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is 50 degrees. Okay, so now I'm reading this sentence. And this sentence kind of includes two super important points. The first one, from a point 200 feet along level ground from the base of the tower. I'm just going to kind of like get that by itself. Okay, we're closing things in brackets. So I'm going to draw that here. So I'm going to go from the base and I'm going to go over 200 feet. Along the level ground means that's horizontal distance. Okay, so I kind of got a right angle here, so boy, I'm setting up for a right triangle. So the next important point, the angle of elevation. Okay, an angle of elevation is the angle between the ground and some point above the ground. So the angle of elevation in this case is right here. That's what an angle of elevation means. Okay, and we're told that's 50 degrees. So, really important. In two sentences, I ended up with a right triangle. And I'm going to draw this over here to make it a little simpler to see. I would not advise that you redraw anything on the exam unless you really need to, because it takes time. But I'm breaking this out just so that you can recognize how simple this is. So I know that this is 200 feet, and this is 50 degrees. And I'm going to go back to my black, and now I'm going to read the next sentence. Which of the following values is closest to the height in feet of the radio tower? This is the height of our vertical tower. Okay, so going over on our right triangle, that's right here. So we have a right triangle, we have an angle in one side. So, and I need to find the other side. So, good for me. I remember SOHCAHTOA. Because I notice down here, I'm given a whole bunch of trig functions operating on that 50-degree angle. I don't even have to get my calculator out and use a scientific calculator. The exam already has this. So I just need to know which trigonometric function, sine, cosine, or tangent, is going to give me some relationship between h and my 200 feet. So I definitely need to know SOHCAHTOA, which is sine of an angle. We'll call it theta equals opposite over hypotenuse cosine of an angle is the length of the adjacent side. Sorry, opposite meant the length of the opposites, the side opposite the angle. The hypotenuse is, of course, the longest side of a triangle. So cosine theta is the length of the side of the triangle adjacent to the angle divided by the length of the triangle's hypotenuse. And tangent of an angle is the length of the side opposite the angle divided by the length of the side adjacent. So coming over here, the h is opposite of our 50 degrees. If we look from that angle out at the vertical portion of the triangle, the thing we want, that's opposite the angle, and then the ground is adjacent. It's kind of making up the side of the angle. So given that relationship, tangent is going to be my friend. So I can say that tangent of 50 degrees is equal to the length of the side opposite of 50 degrees, which is h. Hey, the thing I wanted to find. This is looking good. Divided by the length of the side of the triangle that's adjacent to the 50 degrees, which I was told is 200 feet. Now, if you were taking this in class, you might be asked to use your scientific calculator to determine what the value of tangent of 50 degrees is, but it's even easier for us because we're given that right here. It's like they gave us a little calculator right in the problem. So we can say that tangent of 50 degrees is 1.2. And of course, that's unitless, which we would expect it to be, equals h divided by 200 feet. So h equals 1.20 times 200 feet. And I'm going to use my calculator just to make it simpler. You can probably figure this out without a calculator if you had to, but if you are allowed to use just a simple calculator on the exam, that might make it a little bit quicker. So 200, enter, 1.2 times, that gives me h equals 240 feet. So I have the right units. I want a height in feet. So we're told that the following values are already in feet. So I'm going to see if I can find 240, which is right here. Answer H. So, key to this problem is first, read the problem and recognize what's very important about the relationships in each sentence. Vertical tower on level ground gave us our right triangle. A point 200 feet along the ground from the base of the tower gave us one side of the triangle. Angle of elevation gave us an important angle. And then our SOHCAHTOA told us how to use a trig function to relate the side we wanted to know about, the height, to the side we knew. So remember your SOHCAHTOA. That should be memorized for your exam. And don't be afraid to draw a very simple sketch that helps you translate from the English words of the problem to the mathematical relationships that you know.